What's up, everybody? Happy Blue Friday to all of y'all. Thanks for joining my Walk Talk live stream today. It's a much warmer day today. It's like mid 40s here in the Pacific Northwest, cloudy skies, a little bit of sun. Yesterday was a lot colder, so it's nice to have. I don't even have my hat on today. I'm just going, just the headphones, no gloves, no nothing. It's kind of nice. But appreciate you guys joining in here this nice morning. Like Rick, Bryson, Eric, what's going on? Bradley, Sergio, Mr. Bab. Hey, feel free to let me know where you guys are watching from in the chat. City and state, or city and country if you might be outside the US. So I'm excited and kind of nervous at the same time because today I'm releasing my Russell Wilson goodbye video. I've been working on this for a while. Finally put it together and premieres in a couple hours. And I'm curious to see what your guys' reactions are going to be. You know, if they're going to agree with it, they're going to not like it. But I have to warn you, it's definitely a more, usually my videos are pretty wacky and silly and always got some comedy in there. But I don't know, this one was pretty serious. This was pretty emotional. So a little more heavier than typically, but it's from the heart. So I know a lot of you guys will relate to what I'm expressing in it. But so yeah, check it out. Premieres 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern time. But yeah, it was hard making it because it brought me back to, you end up going back to the past, as you're looking into these things and doing all the editing and creating. You have to kind of dig back in the libraries and of old pictures and memories of things like that. And it's hard to, when you look back and remember how good some things were, you wonder, how did things go so terribly wrong to where this was not going to be, irreconcilable differences. And it's like, I was looking back thinking, what was the point? Where was ultimately the time when it really felt like there was a divorce impending, I know that Locke would say it all started way back in, the second Super Bowl. And all the more, I feel like that magnifies how much, if you really trace the timeline back, how everything would have been different if that one play had been a different outcome. So many careers would have changed. Guys would have been here longer. Russ certainly wouldn't have been thinking about leaving. Who knows? We could be sitting on 3 of them. I strongly believe that. But so I know what's the point of talking about the past when it's all in the past? And this is definitely now extra in the past because he's not even on the team anymore. He can't even dream about, well, someday we'll get back there. It is weird to be thinking about a completely fresh, not completely fresh, obviously there's still a few lingering elements of earlier teams, but at least from a Super Bowl standpoint, completely fresh, wipe the slate clean with the exception of the manager and coach. And I don't know, man, I put yesterday, I said reasons for Seahawks fans to be optimistic, and then today it's like thinking about all the things that why I couldn't. Hi, how are you? But I was thinking about, a lot of you guys don't remember before 2012. I know some of you guys are a lot younger fans who are on my channel, and so I know that you don't have memories of what it was like when we were not good. People who've only known the Russell Wilson era only know that not good means you didn't make the playoffs a couple times, or you were one and done, or made it to the divisional, and that was a year ago, man, I can't believe we didn't make it further than this. Man, what a sucky year. Another disappointing year where we only made it to the wild card, only made it to the divisional. I mean, that's a pretty spoiled mindset. You know what I mean? You're lucky to be in a team that is always sniffing the playoffs, and it's almost a given. You don't remember the years leading up to that. Really, we only started becoming somewhat regular in the playoffs, and that's stretching it a bit, because really in the 2000s, during the Holmgren era, in 2000 we only went to the playoffs. 2003, 2004, 2005 with the Super Bowl, 2006 and 7. So I mean that's pretty good, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. That's half of the decade. They had playoff. They were playoff on, and then they sucked in 08 and 09, and sucked for basically till Carroll came in here, and even when Carroll came in, we were 7-9 2 years in a row until Russell came. Starting to wonder if is life without Russell Wilson, is Pete Carroll by default a minus Russell Wilson? Is his record truly what it was before he got here? He was 7-9 twice. Russell comes, and then we're a winning team. And then last year, first time to have another losing record where we're 7-10. We're about to find out. We have to find out. The Belichick Brady scenario. Watching that separation happen, we know how that played out. Patriots didn't make the playoffs, and Brady won a Super Bowl. But then the year after, Bucs were one and done. The Patriots actually kind of, nudged their way back into relevancy, but not the same that they'd had before. So time will tell on the deal. But I made a video several years ago where I said, you can look it up, it's why I feel sorry for Patriots fans. I basically talked about this very thing I'm talking about right now, which is there's a lot of Patriots fans who only know life with Brady, and they will someday experience life without Brady. Of course, that was like before he won like 2 or 3 more Super Bowls. But it's weird now. That video pretty much translate the same thing to us now. Why I feel sorry for Patriots fans, it's going to be, why do I feel sorry for us fans? If life after Russell is as potentially as gloomy as it could be. Now, I know, yes, I said there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, and I'm still holding out for that. I'll feel a lot more secure in the direction that we are not in rebuild mode if they do get DK Metcalf's contract extension done soon. And I know the bank receivers are making top dollar right now. It's insane. Quarterbacks and receivers. Good time to be a quarterback and a receiver in this league, right? I bet you look at those receivers and the quarterbacks of the old school days going, man, I was just born in the wrong time period. Back then, we got paid squat and got our asses kicked and our heads bashed in with no protection. And now these guys get all the protection in the world, and they're making millions of times over what I was making in the NFL. But, oh well, that's the way the ball bounces. But DK Metcalf, you got to expect, whether he deserves it or not for real, just because of the way the market is, he's going to get, someone's going to pay him at least $25 million a year. And Seattle's going to be ready to do that. Now, obviously, releasing Russell Wilson makes that a little more possible. Not having Bobby Wagner on there helps make that a little bit more possible. And, of course, next year, the salary cap is going to go up, which will make it more, there'll be more room to add to that. So if they don't do that, though, if they don't continue to keep Lockett and Metcalf, I'll be very frustrated because, in the beginning I said, well, if we sign Quandre Diggs, if we get DJ Reed, and we didn't get him, unfortunately, but if we can get if we can at least get Diggs, then, and we don't let Lockett and DK go, then I feel like we're not in rebuild mode. They're actually trying to still be a winning team. So we definitely got to take care of Metcalf sooner than later. Because if we let him go, and I'm not saying he's perfect, he is not Devontae Adams yet. He's not even Tyreek Hill yet, but he can get there, I think. So you got to get him while it's in your control. But yeah, so I'm afraid of the opposite of that, of the life before Russell Wilson, the years of suffering, of when we were perennially a bad team. You know, from we made the playoffs in '99 and in 2000, 2001, 2002, very forgettable. But probably the worst stretch was the '90s. The '90s was definitely the worst stretch of Seahawks football. I mean, I think we made the playoffs, I want to say it was '88. So from '89, '90, '91, '92, '93, '94, '95, '96, '97, '98. Almost 10 years. We were like the Jets, or like the Lions of the West Coast. And man, you think there were frustrating times this past 10 years at times. Whew, you don't know frustration. You don't know what hopelessness feels like till you saw some of the football being played during those lean years. Oh man, it was bad. And I just hope we're not sliding into that position. You know, you wonder how long is Pete Carroll and John Schneider going to be here. I mean, who knows how clean the slate may be wiped depending on how it goes the next year or two. So, but yeah, so I'm nervous and yet excited to see how this video is received. Like I said, it's very different from most of the other music videos I usually put out, but this is a very different situation. Let's just say, we're getting set to leave out of town. Got another big volleyball tournament this weekend in Spokane. Both girls are excited. The lead into this day has been definitely not the most relaxing. I've been telling you my woes with my dryer, my clothing dryer. So I was telling my frustration about this guy. I got this thing from eBay, which is already a bad sign already. I ordered this control board, $50. I was trying to avoid having to spend, $1,000 or whatever on a new dryer, because I knew it was working. You know how it is? It's like when you have something that is broken, but you know it can be fixed. It's like a simple fix. Well, I made that simple fix work for a good 2+ years. Finally, I messed it up, and I knew I had to get a whole new board. So this dude said he's going to send it earlier. He never did. It showed up like 2 days later than the latest day it was supposed to arrive. So I had to wait longer. But it finally arrived. I was like, okay, I'm going to get it before the trip. We're going to do a bunch of laundry right before our travel day. That was 2 days ago. So I excitedly open up this package. It arrives on my doorstep. I rip it open. And there's the control panel. Looks good, it looks like the one I got. But then I pull out all the packaging material. And the first thing I see is the back of it. And it says washer. And right away I was like, wait a second. This is supposed to be a dryer board. The average, as posting said, a GE dryer control board, model number, blah, blah, blah. So I look at the thing, I'm already like, oh no, this is not good. So they go upstairs, set it next to the other one. My plan was to basically just heart transplant. Take wire A, put it into wire B, or slot B on the other board, and just map it out one by one. I turned this thing over, sit next to each other, and my worst fear came true. This thing Didn't look nothing like the other one. It was the other brain, the control panel for the washer unit, not the stupid dryer. So, couldn't believe it. So at that point, I was like, oh, screw it. The universe is trying to tell me, Norb, it's done. You've wasted enough time on this thing. And then the guy actually tried to, I started a refunding process. And he emails me back and says, oh, I think we can still make that one work. I was like, bro, this thing is completely different. We're done. So I send it back, get my money back, but it's not even the point. It's the fact that I wasted and waited around for practically 2 weeks holding out for this board. And probably should have listened to my wife. Even my buddy, Mike Lorraine, who was listening to my talk about ranting about this thing. Of course, by the time it was too late, I already committed to it. So but in the end, I had to send this thing back. And I was like immediately on the horn, on the web, searching for a replacement for a new washer or new dryer. So, and of course, as I expected, in the end, it all came out to like $1,000. So after all that hassle, could have had a brand new dryer like 2 weeks ago, but no, had to do it the cheap way, try to save some bucks. Oh well, live and learn. But you know what? If he had just done what he was supposed to do and posted the part that he was actually supposed to sell me, this thing should have worked. It's just, again, another example of people will let you down. Whether it's the people you care about or just some stranger who you're doing a transaction with, expect that people are going to let you down. It's just going to happen. All right? More often than not, people will surprise you in a negative way than they will surprise you in a good way. Sadly, that's the reality of the world. I don't want to sound like a cynic. It's not like I walk around, we're doomed. But unfortunately, it's a sad reality of you live long enough, you do start to see that pattern. And every once in a while, someone will surprise you and go, oh my gosh, this person just really stepped up. And if they do, you got to thank the hell out of them and show your appreciation because it's a rarity in this world, folks. All right. Speaking of flakes, told you about my little moss roof problem. The guy who was supposed to do it, supposed to come last week, and he canceled the first day because at the last minute, the night before, he texts me and says, oh, I was all set to do your job, but I'm in a band and a gig came up at the last second and I couldn't not do it. So I apologize, but we'll do it next week. Like, okay, I was in a band. I understand your position. I will let this one slide. Let's make it happen next week. So scheduled for a week later, Wednesday of last week. And I texted the night before because I don't want any surprises. I don't want any of the band gigs coming up. So I said, hey, we all good for tomorrow? He said, yep. Okay, all right. I'll see you at 8 or 9 o'clock, whatever it was. I'll sit thinking, okay, good. We'll get the moss issue taken care of. That next morning, I get a text at about 7:30. It says, oh, I'm going to be a little bit late. Traffic looks pretty bad, so I'm going to be later, at least an hour later from what I originally planned. I was like, okay. If it's not 9, we'll do 10, or if it's 8, we'll do 9. So, get a little concerned, but he's still in. And then I get another text like 45 minutes later saying, oh, man, I'm sorry, I can't do this. The traffic's going to be too long and too long coming back, and I just don't think it's safe for me to drive that way. You guys coming from Bellingham, which if you aren't from around here, Bellingham it's a good couple hours, hour, at least almost 2 hours away up north. And I asked the guy the first time, I said, you're up in Bellingham. I said, you can do this job? This is pretty far. He said, oh, no, it's slow. I'll do it. So I told the guy, we're done. And I got another company to do it, and they came out and did it yesterday. We're all good. But yet another example, people letting you down. So this Seahawks team of ours, I guess I'm going into the season, I guess with every move that's going to happen here, whether it's the draft, continued free agent moves, and we get into the start of the season in the summer, late summer. Going through this mud bank here. still wet. So I'm wearing these hiking boots. I don't use these hiking boots this much. Usually I wear them like once every 6 months or something. I've been putting the mileage on these shoes. They're working out great. And these boots. Boots were made for walking. Anyway, I'm just looking into every one of these things. I guess I have a definitely lowered expectation so as to not set myself up for disappointment and failure. I mean, this free agency period so far, I was reading an article. They were grading the big quarterback moves done so far, and they were grading like the Browns get like A minus, the Texans get an A. Who else? I can't remember what the other ones were. But they got to the Seahawks. Oh, there's other moves like Devontae Adams. Packers did not get high rankings on that one. Neither did the Chiefs for their return for Tyreek Hill. But I scrolled down to the Seahawks. Broncos get an A. They get A minus. Seattle, I think, got a C plus on their return on their end of the trade. And I wasn't surprised, of course, because the problem was the situation that it came down to. The reason Seattle couldn't get more for it is because of that no trade clause. Russell being able to dictate where he would be traded to if and when the time would happen. And Seattle probably could have gotten 3 first-round picks from Washington or Philadelphia. But Russell didn't want to play there. He wanted to play for the Broncos. So when your hands are tied behind your back that way, of course, you're not going to get the biggest score possible. Ew, big poop. Big horsey coming through here. Lori in there. Joel Tilson, you got the money to buy her out and man up. That's the Golden Knights. I'm missing this conversation. Sorry, jumping in real quick. So we'll see. We'll see if the Seahawks are. I think the biggest thing, they're going to just roll with Locke, grab somebody free agent wise. Seattle's definitely playing it like they typically do. I mean, I know they got all this stuff from the Wilson trade and everything, but when it comes to free agent signings, they're still playing it like they usually do. They're not usually the guys getting the big names. They're not doing the big blockbuster receiving end of a trade. And it seems like it's kind of the same. We did get some Seahawks back, which I think is cool. Guys I liked before when they played with Justin Coleman, cornerback, good nickel corner. He's back with the Seahawks. Justin Jefferson Quentin Jefferson, defensive tackle. He came back in with the Seahawks. But these aren't game-changing guys. These are solid guys. Definitely good to have for depth and all that. But they're not going to solve your issues. The Jefferson one actually I think is pretty good. But these guys are also older, 3 or 4 years older than when they left us, or more. So, what is the Seahawks plan? What are they planning to do? Is the big wonder, the big question. Ooh. But yeah, it's just it's a lot. I think it's also, this is just an interesting time in life right now. It's weird because I think back about when we won the Super Bowl way back in 2014. It was February 2014, 2013 season. I think that was 8 years ago. And my kids, I took my kids to the parade. Took them out of school for that. And, Vanessa was only 6 years old, not even 6, she was 5. She's just in kindergarten. Sophie was a little bit older, she was 2nd grade. And I could still hold the girls on my shoulders. In fact, I did, so that they could get a better view of what the heck was going on. They didn't know what are we doing here? Who are all these people? Needless to say, my girls never really got into my Seahawks fandom. Just never quite rubbed off on them, unfortunately. But It's weird to think how long ago that was. Now here we are, my oldest daughter finishing up her junior year, senior year next year, and there's a lot of, I guess there's a lot of nervousness around my camp just with the, trying to figure things out for school and what the future is going to be. There's just a lot of that happening right now in terms of adding to the, the stress of life. It is beautiful out here, though. Look at that. It's actually a little bit, feels a little humid. This is the warmest I've felt walking this, in all these weeks I've been doing this. This felt like the warmest day. I feel like I could just be out here with a t-shirt on. Tell you the second part about this time of the year for me is allergy season. Oh my gosh. For those of you who don't have allergies, you don't know what you're, I'd say, you know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing, but believe me, be happy you're missing it. It is no fun. I've got, most of mine is hay fever, pollen, tree pollen, that sort of thing. And certain animals, I think also, which is always been a reason why we've never really made a leap to get cats and dogs and stuff. But it's usually heavy from about March through the spring, and then by summertime it tends to taper off. And those symptoms are usually, for me, itchy eyes, rubbing sticky itchy eyes, and sneezing. That's mainly it. All right, you think, oh, what's the big deal? Throw some eye drops in. But man, it's like, once that itch starts, it's really hard. I know I'm not supposed to rub my eyes, so I know it's going to happen. But it's like, I can't help it. I guess it's like when you get a mosquito bite, right? And it itches, you just gotta scratch it. Even though you know it's not going to help you, it's only going to make matters worse. Just can't do it. So like my left eye, I'm like it keeps constantly itching. And even though I put eye drops and stuff, it temporarily goes away. It's like it's in this heightened sense of ready to be itched mode. It sucks. And what's funny about it is because I go through like a whole summer, into the fall, into the winter, with nothing. And it almost feels like I forget that I have allergies because it's gone such a strong, long stretch. And suddenly in March, I'll suddenly start sneezing. And my eyes will itch. I'm wondering, what's wrong with me? And then I'll remember, oh, crap, that's right. It's freaking allergy season again. And I always go through that every time because usually the March is the kind of month when things start to warm up. It's maybe a few more sunny days than the bleak winter. So with that renewed sense of the season's turning, for allergy people like me, it sucks because it's the ushering in of another period of achoo, blowing the nose, rubbing the eyes. It's horrible. I even take Zyrtec and every day. It still isn't enough to combat it. Oh, we got another vehicle coming through here. That's like twice in a row. A vehicle came by yesterday behind me. Now I got one truck heading up this way. I must be doing some maintenance stuff now that the weather's better. This whole stretch here of power lines is like it's a long stretch of road, maintenance roads. You can walk this whole thing or drive this whole thing to get access it, and just kind of follow the winding road of these service paths underneath these power lines. Whoa, Papa Yogito, what's up? For the super chat, don't know. I feel like this is not as much as a rebuild as we think. It's a small feeling, but it's there nonetheless. Hope you are well, man. Thank you. Thank you for the support of my channel. I'll move out of the way so I don't get run over by this maintenance truck. Thank you, man. Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right too. It certainly doesn't feel like a full rebuild like the Giants are going through right now. And we have a lot of good pieces. We have great pieces. Like I said, I broke it down yesterday. Running game should really be good, assuming health on all these things. Receiving core, tight end, line's getting better. Defensive line, I think they can do some serious damage in the draft. We do have some corner and linebacker holes to fill, but we're certainly not the worst team in the league in terms of lack of talent. So I try to think about that, and I am trying really hard to think of whether it's Drew Lock or somebody we haven't even talked about, or Colin Kaepernick, or Baker Mayfield, or Gardner Minshew. Can any of those guys come in here and not be what we had in the 90s? I posed that question the other day. I said, can the Seahawks win without an elite quarterback? Man, it's hard to know that answer because we've actually been pretty lucky the last 2 decades, because we had Russell for the last 10. We had a small in between where we didn't have much. We went from Hasselbeck to Jackson to Russ. So we had a 1-year transition period for Matt Hasselbeck. Now, granted, Hasselbeck didn't exactly have the greatest of teams the last 3 years. He went 7-9 his last year. Before that, he was 5-11 and 4-12. So it wasn't like he was a franchise quarterback. He was on the downside of a franchise quarterback's career with a team that wasn't very good. So, but prior to that, Hasselbeck was good from, like 2003 till 2007, basically. So 5 years, that's pretty good. But again, in the 90s, we just went through so many just bad quarterbacks. We had the opportunity to get some better guys back then. Passed on. Forget who, some of the big names we could have had. Was it Brett Favre? I don't remember who. Some of the big names that we could have gotten who we didn't. But I sure hope we're not anything close to what teams in the 90s were. Horrible coaching, and had some great defenders on these teams. Hasselbeck was a great quarterback, like I said. Nick Foles. I was funny that you mentioned Nick Foles. Oh, Trayvon Holloway. Feel for you, Norb. Love the content from a Packers Raiders fan. Whoa, wait a second. Trayvon, you're a Packers and Raiders fan? So how did you react to the Devontae Adams move? See, this is what I don't understand about people who can actually be a fan of 2 teams. I know they're out there. I don't know how you do it. How do you react? Do you go, oh, hey, all in the same reading of one tweet? How does that work? Because basically one of your favorite teams lost one of the most important pieces and went to your other favorite team and gained one of the most important pieces. So in one breath, you're disappointed and excited at the same time. My brain can't figure that out. I'd love to know how you react to that. But that's cool, man. I appreciate you supporting, donating to the channel. And yeah, you feel me, man. It's interesting. It's like everybody thought it was going to be Aaron Rodgers leaving his team and going to the Broncos. But instead, it was us being played the whole time. Or maybe not. Maybe they were really gunning for Aaron Rodgers, and Russell was just a close second. Of course, they're going to play it up like, oh, yeah, this is where I wanted to be the whole time. But come on. We all know that everything they say now. I really stopped tuning into these press conferences because, especially right now, during time when you're trying to negotiate and work out trades and backdoor deals and all that, the last thing you want to do is listen to your GM or coach during a press conference. I mean, you might as well just watch paint dry. That'll probably be more productive than watching a press conference with these guys. Unless you just like the game and want to just see how much BS they're going to say 1 minute and then see what's true later on. But come on. They ask him about what are you going to do in the number 9 pick. Yeah, DK Metcalf, are you going to re-sign him? Everybody's leveraging, right? Remember the player, what was his name? The guy we thought was the other Brown who was going to come to Seattle and he ended up going back to New England. He was just using us as leverage to try to barter himself a better deal. I shouldn't be upset about it. It's just business, right? It's like it's like, getting a bid for some work to get done. You go to one place and go, hey, how much is it going to cost to get my moss removed? Oh, it's going to be $1,000. Huh, okay. So you play B. Hey, this other place is giving me $1,000 to do my moss. How much can you do it for? Oh, well, we could beat that. We can do it for $8. Then you go back to the other guys. So I got this other place that's going to do it for $8. Can you beat that? And you keep playing the game until you finally see what everybody's true number is. Of course, I didn't do that. I actually went to the second place. I went to the cheap guy. I got burned. So I went with the other one. I just had to get it done because I'd already gotten a notice from my homeowners association saying, please take care of this problem or you'll be fined. Suckers. Anyway, but that is the negotiation game, isn't it? It's everything in life practically is a negotiation. Rarely are things just as they are. It's all a question of finding out what everyone's really willing to put up with. And for all your advice going forward, if you're going to get into negotiation, first of all, don't be the first to put the number out there. Okay? You want to get the other person to put their number out. Because you might come out and have a number in mind, and we've been burned by this before. But, oh, is that my favorite corgi? Is that Molly? Could it be? No, that's a different one. It's a different corgi. Corgis are so cute. Got to see if I can get a video of this little corgi. Vanessa has his favorite corgi named Molly. I thought it was Molly, but it's not. Good morning. Oh, hi, doggy. Hi, puppy. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? David, see you later, man. Wrapping up things here in a couple minutes. No bunny rabbit over there. There's just wildlife everywhere. See, I see you. We're hunting rabbits. Bunny! Nope, ran off. All right. What was I talking about before I was so distracted? Negotiating. Yeah. So don't put the first number out there because there's a chance that the number you have in mind is way lower than what they're thinking. And every time where it's like we were about to put a number out and then they put theirs on, they were like 2 times what we were going to put. It's like, it's a good thing we didn't open our big mouths. So that's number one. And number two, if you do put a number out there, when you do, make sure you pad it. Know that you're not going to, if your number is 10, whatever it is, make sure you start higher because you can always go down, you can't go back up. So you want to try to get that higher number as possible. And this is why when it comes to players' contracts, we really can't get upset. I'm going to say this at the same time while I'm upset. Can't get upset at players because they're just doing the same thing. The only difference is they're talking millions, tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions, versus most of us are talking about hundreds, tens, thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, depending on what business you're in. But everybody's still just negotiating a deal where they're trying to get what they think is fair. So it just so happens when you're a wide receiver or a football player, quarterback in the NFL right now, you're worth in that 7 or 8 figure range, and almost to 9. Anyway, so little words of advice for what it's worth. Yeah. So what time? My video is going to premiere here in about an hour and a half. Excited. It's going to be right before we hit the road. So it's been a while since I've done a music video, so I'm looking forward to it. This is a song, and you can already see it's already in waiting, so it's not a big surprise what song it is. But yeah, a song I've always enjoyed. It's definitely from my past, from the 80s. Toto, band called Toto. I'll Be Over You is the title. So if you don't know it, you're going to know it. If you know it, you know what I'm talking about. But I remember about this song. This is a song that my memories of this the most are actually driving around with my buddy Rob. He had all these mixtapes. He always had funny names for them. So he had this one that had all these kind of cheesy love ballads from the 80s. And he labeled it Thick Sap. And he had so many of them, the tapes would fill up. You'd have to do more than one mixtape. So we were listening to these like on ski when you go skiing and stuff, driving up to the mountains. Though he'd pop in Thick Sap 1, Thick Sap 2. I can't remember how many Thick Saps there were. There were at least 2, maybe 3 or 4. I'm pretty sure that this song was on Thick Sap 2. But I always remember, I think when I think of this song, I think of skiing trips with my buddy Rob, playing on a cassette deck in his car, or in our car, my car, listening to Thick Sap 2 Toto. So when you think of the song, you can be thinking about Thick Sap on a cassette tape, going skiing. All right, down to the last half a block here. I appreciate you guys jumping in here. And for those guys who did the super chat, Joel wants to know, did Penny get re-signed? Oh man, you're late to the party. Yeah, actually that was pretty exciting over the weekend. Rashad Penny did re-sign with the Seahawks, 1-year deal, $5.25, I think, million. But he has incentives and escalators that could earn him up to $6.5 if he does well. Probably roster bonuses. In other words, stay healthy, we'll pay you. Run the ball effectively, get yards, and we'll pay you. I always like contracts like that. Give them more when they do something good. These guaranteed contracts, man, are scary. It's like Deshaun Watson. The guy's set for multiple lives that earned it, But a lot of debate there, but we do know is he will not be under center for the Seahawks. All right, I'm going to run now, get ready for this trip, and jump back on at 11 o'clock Pacific time when the music video comes out. Hope you'll watch it. I'll be chatting live when it happens. So we'll see you guys then, all right? Enjoy the rest of your Friday. See you in a little bit. Go Seahawks.